Hi, my name is Claire Bauer, and today I'm going to be talking about gender roles in society today. The topic of gender has become a complex and multifaceted subject in modern days. Stereotypes involving gender is a more recent development and is shaped by culture and belief systems. Admittedly, everyone agrees that the male and female genders are different. Yet the perspectives on gender roles differ so widely that gender has become a topic of much debate, discussion, and sadly in some cases discrimination. Gender roles have been developed over the years and they differ from culture to culture. Trends that we see today are not the way that male and female roles used to be or even always will be. So today we're going to look at what society defines as typical female and male roles and characteristics. And we're going to explore recent scientific research which helps to shed light on this fascinating topic. Let's start by talking about male versus female. Identity plays an important role in gender acceptance. Each person needs to have an affinity to something, a feeling of belonging and fitting in. This is what gender is distinguished as, a person's sexual identity. The cultural background and history that people experience affect their identity and their understanding of who they are and where they belong. As we compare the sexes, the biological makeup of men and women, as explained by David G. Myers and C. Nathan D. Wall in Psychology Today, most definitely have both differences as well as similarities. It's important to note that men and women differ in two main ways, genetically and physiologically. Under these two main pillars, a myriad of other traits and characteristics can be compared and contrasted. For example, the way that men and women need and create social connections are much alike, but the way that men and women behave and think are strikingly different. Since different sex chromosomes cause men and women to have different biological makeup, just knowing this fact alone can be helpful in learning to understand the opposite sex better. Next, let's cover gender roles. With developing technology, ideas, research, and evolving perspectives, gender is not perceived in the same way that it used to be. One has but to look back at our history to see that men and women used to be equal. According to Kevin Riley in The West and the World, A History of Civilization, human civilization has gone through three main stages. 1. Hunter-gatherer. 2. Farming. And 3. City life. This gives us some fascinating insight into the gender roles of times past. Women used to be the main breadwinners in the family, with the steady and vital responsibility of collecting food near to home. In addition to that, women bore children, adding to their valued role, producing life. On the other hand, men did all the hunting, a more strenuous and dangerous role, and it was usually done far from home. However, these roles saw a change with the times, with new inventions such as the plow, requiring men to do the majority of the manual labor. Then with the Industrial Revolution, things turned into a man's world, with men holding the best and highest paying jobs and being the head of the family. Male domination became a new trend. It's been a long road fighting for women's rights. It wasn't until 1920s that women were allowed to vote, until the 1960s that women's liberation groups started to materialize, fighting for women's rights and equality in the workplace. Women started emerging again as a force to be reckoned with, causing major upheaval to the way things had been for quite some time. Carol P. Harvey and Deborah L. Larson, they explore this transition that's transpired over the last few thousand years. In Women in Leadership Positions, why aren't they there yet? In this article, they state that while gender discrimination is decreasing, there is still a predominant view of male roles in the workplace, and this creates huge obstacles for women to overcome. Gender roles and stereotypes are acquired from childhood all throughout adult life. This is known as the social learning theory. Children observe those around them and mimic their behaviors and attitudes, especially of those of their gender, thereby learning their role in society. As children grow, their social, emotional, and developmental experiences influence their perspectives about gender roles and preferences. Since the concept of masculine and feminine roles change from culture to culture, people generally try to fill the expectations that their society has for their gender. Individuals who are known as androgynous associate with both male and female traits. Because of this, they don't always fit into either gender-specific role, and sometimes they can stick out like a sore thumb, often causing them to be the brunt of stereotypes and discrimination. The next point is measuring gender. Scientists usually view gender from a few different perspectives: anatomy, physiology, chromosomal makeup, and genetic makeup. One reason measuring gender is not as simple as it seems it should be is because more and more gender is not defined by just one characteristic or gene. According to Howard Hughes Medical Institute, males and females have different karyotypes. Men carry the XY sex chromosome, and women carry the XX sex chromosome. This is one straightforward way that doctors can determine an individual's sex. It gets complicated, however, when physical exams show contrary results when they contrast it with the chromosome exam. The BEM sex role trait inventory is one way to measure gender differences. Sandra Bem created this inventory in 1974. She hoped that by studying men and women's answers to these questions, she could measure different levels of masculine and feminine roles and perspectives attached to it, and then contrast it to their actual sexual orientation. Interestingly enough, traits that society considers as feminine receive the highest scores from women, and masculine traits that are customary for men to display receive the highest scores from men. To this day, psychologists consider the BEM sex role trait inventory as a very valuable tool. Society has a standard view of male and female characteristics, but usually each person has a view of their own personal feminine or masculine traits. The question that begs to be asked is, can gender, with all its complexities, be measured as a dichotomous variable? Next, we're going to be talking about differences between gender and sex. Conflicts about gender and sex differences can become especially important in relation to sports, where masculine genes are known to have the edge over feminine genes. Studies have shown that androgen insensitivity syndrome occurs when a male with the XY chromosome shows resistance to male hormones, causing them to have the traits of a woman but with the genetics of a man. If females have an active SRY gene, they have female genitalia, but some male DNA. If they have what's known as complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, women will not menstruate monthly, but are accepted as females. Women who have this condition have been allowed to compete in sports, which I believe is the fair and right decision. The above information that I just gave you shows us that one test of gender is not an adequate demonstration of gender. Many factors need to be considered before knowing for sure. In a situation where athletes are competing, statistics show that the difference between male and female competition is significant, especially in particular events such as sprinting or jumping. Therefore, in order for the competition to be fair, it's important to ensure that all the athletes are competing against others of their gender. Here is one example where measuring gender is important. Current examples of individuals who do not conform to usual gender descriptions, such as Park Eun-san, Gabriella Ludwig, Castor Semenya, or Jazz Jennings, show us that global perspectives about gender and sex orientation are changing. These unique individuals face gender challenges that most of us don't. So, in asking whether gender is a dichotomous variable, I would state that scientifically it is, with male traits containing a certain chromosome and female traits containing a different chromosome. But I strongly believe that it's not that simple for many individuals who are LGBTs. With the different set of combination of genes, traits, and biological makeup, these individuals face a greater challenge than most people. In conclusion, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, or biological composition, everyone has something unique and amazing that they can contribute to society and the world around them. They just need the chance. Thank you.